Hello and welcome to the Flagship. Joining me today is Rustam and Adrien. Rustam is the owner of, well, I'll let you say because I'm not even sure. I know the name of the game, but I don't know what the name of the company is. Rustam, and the CEO is Adrien. But Rustam, can you tell us the name of your company?
Yeah, so it is called Why Are You Games. It's a British game development indie studio
Ah, British. From what country in Britain?
from Great Britain. From the company is registered in London.
London. Nice. Okay, I've been there a few times. Not a bad place. Nice place to vacation. I personally wouldn't live there, all the fog and the rain, but it's really beautiful, especially in the winter. I've been to Winter Wonderland, and it's really nice.
Yeah,
A-
exactly.
yeah, Adrian, you are the CEO of the whole company, or just particularly on this game project called that discovers the internet?
CEO of Why Are You Games. But I'm also project lead, programmer. I mean, our team's pretty small, so I pretty much fill in wherever. I'm also designing. I'm also doing the comedy. I'm also voice acting in the game. So I mean, I'm just all over the place.
Oh, that's cool. Are you guys both in England, or sorry, Great Britain?
No, so the company's actually remote, but the legal entity, I don't know what you want to say, like the or physical is in London, but technically we're all over the place. We have people in several different countries. I'm pretty much the only American, really. Everyone else, we have people in the Philippines, Thailand, some in the Middle East, some in Russia. They're all over the place.
Oh, cool. Rustam, when did you found this, or sorry, when was the company founded?
Almost 1 year ago.
And you got a whole group of remote users or contractors together to join one team, or how's this working?
Yeah, so basically I found people, 8 people the first night I started the company, and Adrien was one of the first persons whom I talked. Yeah, so basically I just found all people in one night and we started the game company.
Okay, now usually I tell everyone to introduce themselves, how they got into gaming, or developing games. We'll start with you, Rustam. Were you previously a gamer, or were you a developer? You got any credentials, graduate? Like what made you want to start this company?
Yeah, I always been a hardcore gamer. When I was younger and when I had time, I was passionate about games, gaming, especially PvP games. I
What
played
are
quite
some of your
different
favorites?
games. StarCraft 2, then I played Epic. In a good level, I was in Masters League. Also in StarCraft 2, I was in the Masters League. Actually, one of my advisors, my friend, he's my advisor as well. He was the champion of Russia for StarCraft 2. And he brought me into the competitive gaming.
And what made you decide to get into developing?
I was playing the Forest, the survival game, and we built a huge, crazy wall to defend against the zombies. And we spent like 5 days on that. And then at the end, 5 or 6 zombies came, and they died pretty easily. And I was thinking, what's the sense of these defensive structures if nobody attacking you? And then I created an idea of my own survival game. It's actually in the production right now. I have a few guys from Europe, they are developing it. It's called Darkest Light, but it's early prototype stage.
Also, you have multiple projects in development, multiple video game projects.
Yes, we have two projects currently on the development right now. One is the that discovers the internet, the comedy game. Then we had this Darkest Light, and we had Star Metal Crusaders one as well.
Okay. I'll get back to you, Rustam. Adrien, what got you into gaming or programming, developing, voice acting? Were you a gamer previously before getting into all this? Did you go through school? Some people like the field, see it's a
Uh,
way of making money.
yeah, so actually, yeah, I've basically been a gamer my whole life, to be honest. Went from, when I was a kid, I was playing, Nintendo. Yeah, I remember getting each of the consoles, from N64 to PlayStation 1 to Xbox. Yeah, all throughout. I even remember playing Game Boy Advance as a kid. And then I got more into computers, and then that kind of like I started shifting away as I got older. I started shifting away from consoles to computers. Um, but yeah, I never really was actually that confident in actually being, designing games or even programming. So initially, I was just trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Like I went to college for a few different things, and none of it really worked out. I didn't really like any of it, and then then at one point I heard about programming. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, this. I wasn't confident I could do programming either, but I said, you know what, let me just take this class and see where it goes. I guess if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I took the class, and it was basically this really intro level to programming, and went over uh, a lot of the concepts and um, base level stuff to help get you into programming. And they use the thing was using Python was optional, but I was
Yeah.
so interested in it that I actually did my homework assignments in Python. So I went the extra mile, and I realized that it was something I really enjoyed, and I was actually more of a logical thinker, and it just kind of clicked with me. And so from that point on, I just started. I got my degree in programming, and then
Yeah.
I went for bachelor's in video game design and
Out of
programming.
what state?
Uh oh, I think we maybe he just got disconnected.
Yeah, maybe it lagged out. The connections between US and Europe. Or
Hopefully he joins back. I guess I'll continue until he
yeah,
comes back.
that's fine. What out of what state, if you don't mind me asking?
Originally I lived in Arizona. About Welcome back, Rustam.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
welcome
thank you.
back.
I'm having strange problems today.
So
No worries.
originally I lived in Arizona, and then about when COVID hit, I kind of yeah I basically moved to Texas with family while I pursued you know uh, something more solid in game development. But yeah, for a while I was just working for cheap, learning as much as I could. I was helping this guy out. He was trying to do a MOBA. I mean, the thing he was trying to do was very ambitious, and he just doesn't have the funding right now. I think he's got a good idea. It's I just think it's very ambitious.
Okay, so let's dive into Dad Discovers the Internet. Uh, Up to you guys. Who wants to describe it, talk about it? If you guys both want to take turns, go ahead. You have the floor.
I think Adrian would fit better to describe it.
No problem.
So essentially, this Dad Discovers the Internet was because I kind of noticed the cultural shift going on, and especially with the election and everything. I kind of already knew where the wind was blowing, so I figured this was like a perfect time to make a game like this to get back to the roots of like how things used to be. Like we used to be able to laugh about stuff, and everything wasn't a crusade for some kind of righteous cause, and everyone got along. There was no, and then all of a sudden, culturally. So I mean, this game is basically to it's basically to appeal to those people that are kind of sick of that, but also just to make fun of it. It's just like there's all this crazy crap going on, and it's just like no, everyone's afraid to make fun of it. I said, you know what, let's make fun of it because we have the cojones to actually do this.
Now,
Uh,
have you seen previous titles like Alex Jones, NWO Wars? Did anything
yes.
influence you guys, or did you guys have the idea from the start?
Um, well, we were doing research into, what could possibly similar to this. That was one idea that we noticed. I mean, his was definitely more political. We wanted to kind of stay away from hard politics, specifically naming politicians or having specific politicians. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, we did take note of that. We actually researched, how much he actually made on that. Um, that's
Okay.
probably the closest thing I would say. The other close thing, actually, the inspiration I took from the most would probably be South Park. In fact,
Oh,
that's
okay.
but I don't think their games really touch on this, but the show does. The show makes fun of
They're
everything.
controversial in their own ways, and we will dive into
Yeah.
controversy. But before we go into that, so did you play any previous titles that were similar to this before NWA Wars?
Uh, Beat 'em up, third person horde game. We're kind of taking. We have the demo out now, but
Yeah, and I did play it today actually.
yeah,
I finished the first level, but I ran out of time. I was also on the UFC event earlier.
yeah, it's very rough, and so we were kind of playing around with some ideas. Some obviously aren't working out very well,
Yeah,
but we are.
sorry, go
Oh
on.
yeah, go ahead. Yeah, we actually, and we there were a number of smaller YouTubers that were trying it out too. I watched a few of them. I plan on watching the rest and leaving a reply, but one of them was really funny. but uh, but yeah, and then I kind of noticed we're just kind of learning and paying attention what people are, what people care about, what they're doing. You
So, is there
know,
anything you played previously, like a South Park game that wanted, like, what kind of mix made you want
no.
to make this type of genre?
Actually, my favorite. This is not even in the ballpark of the games I actually really like playing. I prefer like RPG games,
Oh, was it just
but
simple to make this type of game? Because I know with my own experience that I would like to make some 3D great action or horror game, but I'm limited with my knowledge of what I know and the environment I know how to program in. So I decided to make a turn-based RPG game. It was a lot simpler. Is that the case with you or with you guys
o-
or yeah,
originally
exactly.
it was meant to be more simple, but we realized that just wasn't going to work. Nobody liked it, so we had to go back to the drawing board, and then we realized in order to make this as fun as possible, we'd have to make it more complex. The comedy was the main focus for us, to be honest, and then the
Okay.
gameplay we were kind of trying to because we're not a big company, so we don't really have the luxury of spending months planning. So we were kind of like we're working on this like as we were coming up with the ideas. So we're just trying to um, you know get everything rolling as fast as possible, and just we would have meetings. We still have meetings, but we have meetings frequently, and we constantly go over ideas. We're constantly reviewing the culture of the company that we've fostered is basically, everyone has a say because we want to encourage people to kind of point out things that maybe I miss, or somebody else who's helping out with the design missed, or stuff like that. So basically, everyone's encouraged to kind of join in and give their own feedback. As far as the comedy, though, it's all kind of Rustam pitches in, and then
Oh
we
yeah,
have a few.
who makes the jokes? Is it you or is it Rustam? Are you making some of these jokes? Also, Rustam, I got a question for you. Did you
Hmm.
green light this game right away because you wanted to make a comedy game, or is it just something you thought would sell well or be controversial?
Yeah, so basically, as Adrian said, we're a small studio and we were working on that Bible project, which is kind of my dream game. But reality it is we have not enough experience and the team wasn't set up before. So we decided to pause it and start working on something smaller to get experience. And of course, it is much easier to develop a smaller single player game.
An indie
And
title,
then,
yeah.
yes, and then my brother said that he has an idea of making a game about dad who discovered the internet and faces all the madness what is going on there. And yeah, I mean, we just greenlighted it immediately
Okay.
after the first meeting.
And what about the jokes? Is that more Adrien you're writing or Rustam, or do you guys have a dedicated writer?
No, we're doing everything by ourselves. We have each week a design meetings where we come up with the ideas, everyone, and then we just choose the best ones. What we think, of course, is the best ones.
Oh,
We
that's when
try
you
to
guys had your
implement them.
meetings, like a round table?
Something like that, yes.
Okay, but now I gotta ask, why go controversial? And, like, was this the choice for the comedy direction? Because, oh wait, you did answer because of what's going on and foreseeing the future of the elections. Okay, so then we got that answer. What about the outcome? So you've seen some of the news articles for NWA wars. Do you expect that with your game, and is that what you want? Do you want your game to be known as controversial?
Well, I mean, South Park's known as controversial. It's not the just it being controversial is. I mean, the idea of it being controversial is that it just gets talked about more. So right, so
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Because everyone likes South Park, but South Park's controversial.
Okay, well, I can relate to something going on in the media right now. There's a lot of news articles where it's like gamers versus journalists, and journalists are reporting how they're bigots, and gamers are fighting back, saying they're not. The games just aren't delivering and giving us the characters we want. So I can assure you, if this hits the media, you're gonna probably see 5 or 6 different articles calling you guys similar thing like that. Especially 2024 games that have a lot more DEI, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that's basically what we're making fun of mostly. Yeah, I mean we're kind of going into this expecting that. I mean, if they wanna talk about that, if they want to talk about our game, by all means, I'm not gonna stop them. Um,
No matter
uh,
the reputation they try to pin
well,
on the company,
well, the
on your
thing
studio.
is, well, I don't think people are that stupid for one. I mean, they've done this to multiple people at this point. It's like the boy who cried wolf. I mean, there's only so many times you can cry out that where people are actually going to listen. I think at this point people are deafened to that. Just what I've noticed in like the cultural shift, because I listen to YouTubers a lot. I just kind of get feedback from I read comments a lot, and I just kind of get a general sense of like where the attitudes are shifting and stuff like that. And the sense I'm getting, especially here in America, is that the attitudes are kind of they're getting it's getting tiresome. Like they're tired of the lectures, they're tired of people, you know, telling them who these people think they are, putting labels on them. Uh, I mean, really, this game is kind of like a middle finger to those people, but also just kind of like laughs. I mean, the main goal of this is really laughs. It's not really to make anyone angry. In fact, we actually
Yeah.
we went on a Twitch stream where the guy was openly gay, and he actually loved our game. So,
Okay,
so it's
so you're
actually
not
it's
hating on
no,
certain
no.
groups. Okay.
No, in it's just it's the main thing. Like South Park doesn't hate gays, but South Park makes fun of gays, right?
Yeah.
Like the main thing is just
Or
laugh. It's just
every.
a laugh.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you're trying to make a comedy game, get
Ye-
controversial, and get. I don't know. What else would you say?
Yeah. So
What's
I
Uh,
the
was
goal? Like,
Oh,
Yes.
sorry, Adrian. If you don't mind, I just add
Yeah.
a little fast. And the thing is, the topic is not only the controversial stuff. We have also a lot of other things which is not related to DI or whatever. So
Okay.
we have like moderators from forums and Flat Earthers group, the guys who believe that the Earth is flat. He's actually one of the main characters in the game. So yeah, and as Adrian said, we're just trying to make a comedy game and not make someone angry.
Okay, so the goal is to just deliver something funny and enjoyable. Is this all single player, multiplayer, both? And what are
Single
the
player.
decisions to only go single player?
Oh, single player because it's easier. It was easier to develop. I for yeah. So I mean, obviously, multiplayer like co-op that would definitely add to it. But we originally were thinking single player because multiplayer would definitely add some development time. So it was just a decision to make it easier to develop, even
Oh,
though the direction we're taking is not really as easy as it could be.
yeah, now I noticed from the demo, and I have to ask if this is how the real game's gonna play out. So, just to give you guys some feedback, I started on a cloud, and I did die a lot. I died a lot in the beginning, just getting used to it, and I did notice there was a progress bar that continued. As long as I killed enough enemies, I could teleport out of the universe and go into another universe to get to the next level. Is that how the progression is for the whole game? And is also another thing I noticed, you can pull out a rocket launcher, and I seen it kind of hops you up a bit, so I instead relied on punching instead of using the rocket launcher because it killed me more so than it helped me. So
Uh,
diving into that, what would you say about the gameplay? Is it changing? Is there more inventory? Is it just gonna be a beat 'em up with a rocket launcher?
no, that's actually just going to be one of the weapon choices. It's just something we decided to do for the demo. We're actually making a shift because what we started to realize was that we were making the game too punishing. So I think it's fine if you die in the game, but I mean, so the thing we realized is the kind of game we're making should be casual, but we were kind of adding in too much punishment. And then, there's also
Yeah.
many cases where we were watching people, they didn't know what was going on. No one's really reading the tutorial stuff.
Oh, that
So we're
happens
going
a lot. Yeah.
yeah, and I kind of figured that, but I was hoping maybe if we just put in like a sentence and a picture that it would help with that. But yeah,
There was
no
a
one
lot of
really.
tutorial screens, so I understand that. I did read them all, and I did get used to it. But there are a lot of people that'll just skip. Let me just get to the game right away.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that we should have expected that because again, we're making a stupid, mindless game. It's just a silly game that you're supposed to play.
Yeah.
It's just a short game where you're supposed to laugh. You get some laughs and then you put it down. We do want to add some replayability though, so we are working on that. We're also going to shift to a more active tutorial to where the player, where we're going to have a space where the player actually involves himself in what the tutorial wants him to do, like a typical what would you call it? Can't think of a game, but where it'll say, "Hey, do this," and then it'll wait for you to do it, and then you do it, and then it'll carry over. Then it'll go on to the next tutorial. So it's less reading because no one really wants to read, right? Uh,
Yeah. Now,
so yeah, so we're gonna shift to that, and we're
okay.
gonna start
Very
treating
interesting.
the game like it is, which is just a mindless, kind of a mindless casual game just for silly fun.
But it is linear, and I did see it has cutscenes in a story, so there is a linearity to it, and then from beginning to end, correct?
Not necessarily, yes, for the story, but you can actually replay levels. So the
Oh,
idea from the beginning for us, and that's why why you can stay in the level with your portal progress full. So that's that bar you were talking about.
yeah.
But so the idea is to make it more of like, have you ever played Risk of Rain?
I have not. What
Someone,
council?
someone. Okay, I'll explain that a bit. So Risk of Rain is is I think it's roguelike or rogue light. I
Okay. Yeah, I know the type of genre.
never remember the difference, but basically, as you stay in the map, it gets harder and harder. So we're gonna do something similar to that. We actually are doing that, but it's just not obvious. Um, but essentially, it's going to be like a survival mode.
Yeah, I did feel
And
that actually. I stayed in the map. I didn't teleport right away. Then I saw more and more enemies multiply and attack.
yeah, right now for the demo, it caps. It's kind of linked to the portal progress, so it gets harder as you build up the portal progress.
So that's your replay value where it's going to get harder and can you survive? Now, is there an initiative to doing that? Like,
That's actually the solutions we were coming up with as and a lot of ideas just aren't in there yet, but we're basically working on a quest system too, and we're going to be shifting the portal progress to that. Because one thing we noticed is people just aren't really moving around. The way the game is designed, and it was clear to us. It became clear to us that no one is really like trying different things out. So, for example, you can actually rocket jump up in the air, switch to fists, and then jump attack down. So, like, we actually designed it to where you can mix and match things. So you can actually dash in air. You can jump attack while you're dashing and interrupt the dash to jump attack. So we're
okay.
the idea. Yeah, the problem is that no one really knows or even has tried to do anything. So, but the idea is that it becomes kind of a playground to do crazy stuff. That's kind of what we want to. That's our end goal with this.
Okay, now
Is
oh,
Yeah,
sorry. Go on.
and actually we are adding now a shop system and a bunch of weapons. We just had no time to prepare that for the demo.
Okay, before we get
And
into like the shop items, I have a quick question for you, Rustam. Wouldn't this
sure.
type of game benefit from being co-op? Because you mentioned zombies earlier and that you enjoyed playing that. So what was the decision to not make it co-op? Is it just again development time?
Yes, the development time. Actually, the first concept was way easier than it is right now. So we thought we could finish that game in a couple of months, like 5 or 6 months. But then we realized that it's not really going to work. So we decided we're constantly complicating things, adding new mechanics and other stuff, levels.
Okay, so you
But yeah,
mentioned the shop. Is that going to be in-game currency, or you guys are planning to do microtransactions?
no microtransactions, of course. Will be
Oh,
in
so
game
it's in-game
currency.
currency. Cool.
Yes, so you can try different weapons, you can upgrade your character and try to survive for as long as you can.
Okay, very interesting. How much are we looking at for the release of this game, and when do you expect to release it? You mentioned about 6 months in development, if I'm correct. Six
Uh,
months in development so far.
yes, so we hope we can finish that in the spring 2025. And
Okay.
you said how much do you mean the price of the
Yeah,
game?
when it releases on Steam. And do you see yourself going multi-platform or just Steam PC?
We plan to release this on the multiple platforms, of course, if the game goes good. But of course, we will start from the Steam only.
Oh, so day one Steam, or sorry, first on Steam and then multiple. Do you see it going on consoles or?
Yes, consoles, perhaps consoles.
Okay, and what are we looking at for this game? How much?
I think something between $150 to 300, something like that.
Is that with the DLC or without?
Without, of course, without. No, we're thinking something in between $5 and $9.
Oh, okay, so it's gonna be really cheap.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Like I said, this is meant to be a shorter game, but yeah. I mean, we're gonna try our best to make sure it has replay value so that it lasts longer than that. But that's kind of the goal, is just to make a short, fun game that you get a good laugh from. And I mean, as long as everyone enjoys it, you know. But yeah, it's definitely not going to be a big game for sure.
Okay,
Yes,
yeah,
and we're just trying to bring the best experience to the players, to the gamers, what we can, since we are the gamers and we're making game for the gamers, and yeah,
okay,
so
that's
we don't. Of course, money, of course, is very important, but it's not the first priority target for us at the moment.
yeah. You want to get a good kickstart out of it, and then go to multiple projects. Do you guys see yourself making a sequel to this game if it gets really popular, and or do you see yourself making DLC? Also, how long? Well, I'll ask that after. Let's start with that.
Um,
Sequel or DLC?
right. So, um, I guess I'll start with the DLC. Yeah, I mean, it's totally impossible to do a DLC, but I mean, rather than a DLC, we would probably do a sequel. In fact, we kind of already have an idea. I'm not going to spoil any of it because some of it involves the story.
Oh, okay. So you
Uh,
guys got the whole
but
story plotted out already.
well, yeah, pretty much.
So how long do
But
you plan to support the first game if it's successful?
what do you mean support it?
Like how long would you support it with patches and updates, or is it ongoing
I,
support?
well, it's not an online game though.
Yeah,
But
I know, but like for example, Assassin's Creed, the more recent ones, they'll patch in maybe an update, small update expansion versus a bigger paid title. I'm
you,
just wondering
so
if
you
any plans like that, or do you plan to release it and then just fix it, update it while you're working on separate
d-
projects?
do you mean fixing bugs or do you mean revamping the whole game?
No, fixing bugs, updates, or do you plan
Oh,
to create add-ons to the game, maybe new weapons, new items,
uh,
things like that, supporting the game in general. Like some developers will release a game and support it for a year before moving, or they'll be creating the second game in the background while also supporting the game. I'm just
yeah.
wondering your plan.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, as far as ongoing support, especially if there's bugs, yeah, that would have to we would have to do that because I mean, in my opinion, you know, if you release your game with bugs, I mean, and you don't make an effort to fix that, that definitely negatively affects your reputation. That's actually something we're definitely making sure of. Like we actually spent a lot of time for the demo, in fact, to make sure we reduce as much bugs as possible. Just going through and fixing as many as we could. But yeah,
That's good.
the yeah, I mean, the end goal for it would definitely be a game that's not a buggy mess for sure.
So no hope
The
for co-op DLC? Enjoying the comedy with alongside a
well,
friend?
well, once you're set on single player, going back and changing it to multiplayer is much more difficult than if you started out with multiplayer in mind.
Yeah, that's
So
true. So that's kind of what I'm asking. So if this is
yeah.
developed, it's all done, and you want to still support this game, it's released. Um, would you plan on adding a co-op mode, or would you save that for a sequel?
Well, that yeah, I was getting to that. But yeah,
Yeah.
basically we were already considering, you know, if we made a sequel, which we do have some of it planned out, we would make it co-op. And we already have an idea of how that would work. I'm not gonna go get into details, but yeah, that you know, depending on the first game, yeah, for sure. The second we would want to make the co-op. That's how we would start it out.
Nice. Okay, now I gotta ask about the retro design because I noticed it's like a little Game Boy, and then there's a lot of retro. So unlike NWA where it was a side scroller, you guys are 3D. What made you guys want to implement that? Was that sort of your artist, your graphic designer, or what was the, I guess, what was the
So,
vision for that?
well, the idea is it's kind of like a throwback. So we pretty much know what our main audience is going to be. It's pretty much going to be people in between the ages. It's going to be men in between the ages of about 24, 34, somewhere around there. Maybe some, a little younger, maybe some a little older, but that's going to be the core audience. And so a lot of that's just kind of nostalgia and throwback, and it that was kind of the main, like, as far as the design though, that one of our team members actually came up with that. And then we were just kind of slowly improving it over time. But yeah, I mean, it all came back to kind of just because a lot of the references, some of them are random, right? But some of them are references to older things, and you
Okay.
can kind of pick up on that. Some of them are a lot newer, like Gorlock and
I guess let's dive into
Redemont.
the
But
story. Let's can you explain from the beginning, like give the audience what's the story about him discovering the internet, like multiverses, all that.
well, it's pretty much in the so we have a concept trailer that we did to go over that, but pretty much it's a very simple story. Um, but yeah, I guess I'll just
Just give us the
so
introduction. I probably should have asked you
yeah,
this in the beginning, but
y- y-
just to
yeah.
give the listeners a vision of what to expect when they first dive in with the
So
story.
okay, so the main idea is that this dad who is 120 years old, he's but doesn't look it. A lot of this stuff is just silly nonsense just to laugh at, right? So
Yeah.
he doesn't look 120, but he's 120. He's fought in both world wars. The idea is that he's this old school dad that doesn't take any BS, and he's like your grandpa who survived in World War II or something. He's like he's kind of a badass, maybe slightly a hard ass,
So what
but
makes him discover the internet?
yeah. And the joke was with the son, because the son's actually only like 11, but he's already got like a mustache, right? I don't know if you've seen the concept trailer
Yeah, I,
that we
I
did.
watched the beginning
but
portion.
but yeah, so the idea is that the dad's like, oh, he worked for 38 hours straight, and then he takes his his little break, and then he hears his son playing a video game, and then he goes in and he checks on his son, and he thinks his son's doing something inappropriate, but it just seems that way, and so he overreacts and he smashes his computer, and in the process he breaks the internet, and so him and his son get sucked into the internet. And so the main idea here is that he has to find his son. He's trying to save his son. So he's traveling through the internet and fighting through different websites to find his son. And I think we're not making that as obvious as it could be. So that's definitely something we're gonna work on as well.
Oh no, it was obvious. Yeah, as soon as you step in, he calls out his son's name. He's looking for him. So that you would say that is the goal of the story, to find your son.
Well, yes, but the thing that so I was watching some videos and people thought it was a Discord mod, but
A
it was
Discord.
actually based off of the Reddit mod meme.
What is that?
Yeah,
Sorry, the mod? Discord mod?
yeah, they were saying one of the enemies was a Discord mod, but he was actually
Oh.
based off of a Reddit mod, the Reddit
Oh,
mod
okay.
meme.
So, oh yeah, what are some of the enemy types? I noticed someone in a wheelchair, smiley face.
Uh,
What are these things you're fighting?
um, you're basically they're based off of the websites. I'm not going to spoil too much, but
Oh,
they're these enemies are basically based off of the websites they inhabit. And as you saw, because you actually saw all the beginning ones, right, for the enemies.
yes. And I did notice
So
something flying back. I think it had a LGB flag. I'm not sure.
yeah, that.
Oh, really controversial. I'm telling you,
Oh,
they're gonna headline you for that.
we're getting spicy.
But you're ready to
Um,
fight back, aren't you?
Oh no, yeah, I don't care. Let them. I mean, the wind's kind of like blowing in our favor anyway.
Do you
No,
agree with that, Rustam? Rustam?
With what exactly?
With the idea that okay, so there is a LGBT flag in there, and you expect to get that. What do you call it? I don't even know how to describe it. Okay, so obviously they're gonna call you guys certain names. Are you ready for that backlash? That's the word I'm looking for. Backlash.
Oh, you mean that? No, no, of course. I mean, we are ready for that. And as I said before, we don't meant to make someone angry. It's just a comedy game. It's just a fun. We're also making a fun on ourselves, you know. We're also
Mhm.
adding ourselves, the website into the game and to the future cartoon actually as well.
Mhm.
So
So
we're
you
just chill, easy guys. Yes, exactly. It's
okay?
not about LGBT stuff, you know.
That
and
just came to mind because I remember I was fighting the enemies. Then I saw that, and I'm like, oh, whoa, this thing damaged me. And then I saw rainbows damaging me, and then I'm like, what's going on?
Well,
yes,
so oh, go ahead.
yes. I just wanted to say, you know, we wanted to when we designed the comedy and everything, we wanted the reaction from the people, like, what the fuck is going on here? No way, this is real.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay.
Um, so I mean, I guess to answer that a bit more thoroughly, the
Sure.
way I see it, and because I pay attention and I listen to a lot of opinions. The way I'm seeing it right now is the people that are calling people, you know, bigots or whatever label they're using.
Yeah.
They're often seen as unreasonable by reasonable people. So I don't imagine actually getting any serious heat for this game, to be honest. Yeah, there's probably going to be, you know, especially if it gets, you know, super popular, and there's going to be those types labeling us this and that. But I don't think anyone really listens to them. From what I'm seeing, that's actually, you know, it's like I said, it's the boy who cried wolf. They're just kind of slowly dying and they don't realize it. Um, I think the game industry is actually realizing this now too, from what I've been seeing, because I've been paying attention to a lot of the news. You know, you had the Dragon Age game come out, and that's they're definitely not getting their money back. They definitely drove that into the ground. I just think there's a lot of disconnection from average people and people who probably live a more privileged life, and I mean, maybe they're the ones that are going to cry us out, but yeah, on average, no, and I don't think so. And then also, yeah, again, the like what Rustam was saying, we're not really trying to upset anyway. I was going to say earlier, but we kind of changed course. But we're adding in. It's not just you know, gay stuff. It's like we're making fun of. That's why we added. That's why the first characters you see are the Reddit mod and this flat earther character who also, you know, thinks the earth is going to burn. So we're kind of adding in a whole bunch of stuff, different stuff.
Oh, a lot of conspiracy theories as well. Yeah, and I didn't mean to
Yeah.
go back into this. We were kind of talking about the enemies. So one of the enemies is a flat earther. Do you guys see yourself
Mhm.
making boss battles, or is this all enemies that attack you? You clear a few, you get to the next level, or is every level different?
There's definitely a confirmed final boss. We're still considering because we have to kind of judge, you know, development times and stuff like that. So we're considering it. We're actually thinking about maybe doing a GoFundMe page and having that as one of the goals for the funding. Like if we reach that goal, then for sure we'll have you know, a mini boss after each level. But for right now, it's just a confirmed final boss. But there's so much we would like to add to this game, and I'm thinking of maybe for some of the stuff that's definitely going to take a bit longer. We just put on like the GoFundMe as like a goalpost, and like, hey, you know, if you fund us to this amount, we'll for sure put that in the game.
Interesting. Okay, so Again, I gotta go back to the question. Game progression, is every level similar, where it's just clearing out enemies to be able to teleport to the next level, or will it have different level design each level you go to?
The idea was to make each level, or well, there are technically stages. So there's stages within the level, and then there's the levels. So it's like a level is like a separate website, right? But the idea was to make the stages unique, and the goal
Oh,
is to make the the stages interactable. So it's kind of like each is a different it's kind of its own experience, but
so is like the first level the cloud? Is that basically representing the cloud saves or something similar like that? And each level has its own hazards. So basically, each level is defining the web page you're on, and that's the unique twist to the game.
no, it actually wasn't. We kind of just chose a theme to go with for the website, and then we just went with it. So
Okay.
the theme there was just kind of like sky, earth, and then center of earth. I mean that you basically, as you play, you're basically moving to the center of the turtle. It's more
Okay.
random than because it's more of a comedy game. We just decided to be silly. So some of it just it's not really meant to have like any deeper meaning than just to be silly and random. Um,
So just
but
don't take it seriously, and you'll have fun.
right. I mean, so that's why we realized again, we realized that the way we're going about it was wrong for what we were doing because we're making a silly, mindless game to laugh at. We basically wanted to get the what the heck is this reaction, which we actually got a lot with the trailer, which which I loved.
I
Um,
gotta look up some of those reactions. Go on the discussion boards.
yeah,
I didn't get a full through like not investigation, but usually when I see a new game, indie game, and I want to support it, I look through it. I'll go through the discussions. And Steam is loaded with a lot of indie games. Let me tell you that. And normally
yeah,
I'll play a game, test it, give the feedback, try to find bugs, help out studios.
yeah, and we actually realized that the weakest stage was actually the first, which is not so good because it's the very one, the very first one you get into. So we're already actually changing that and
That's a good thing,
redoing that.
because
Yeah.
I kept falling off, and I was like, maybe this
Yeah.
shouldn't be the first level.
Yeah, so yeah, no, we definitely so our mindset is to constantly improve. Like any bad thing you see in the game, 100% it's already we're aware of it and we're working on solutions. Like our goal is to make this is the best game it could possibly be while making it silly and fun and random. Because I mean, the idea is like you don't know what's going to happen next, but you're going to laugh at it because it's going to be so ridiculous and silly. And I mean, yeah, that's basically the goal there for sure.
Hey, sounds good. I'll be keeping an eye on it, and I'll play it when it releases. Any closing comments from you guys? Anything you want to add on before we sign off? I did take up a lot of your time. This podcast, I think we're almost about an hour, if not more. Oh no, we're almost at least an hour.
Oh, really?
So
I'll let Rustam take over.
yeah, any closing comments, any promotions you're free to make, any handles, maybe you guys are any on social media you want people to follow you. Go ahead, anything you want to say.
Yeah, we have our YouTube page and Twitter page as well. But no, really, I mean, it was a great experience. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed that. The first time for us doing such a thing, podcast or interview, whatever you call it.
Oh, you're very
And
welcome, and thank you for coming on here. And your handles on YouTube is YRU Games, is that correct?
uh, no, it's the Dead Discovers the Internet. Actually, it's the page to the game right now.
Oh, okay, okay. Adrian, any closing comments, anything you want to say, any handles, promotions?
I think uh, Rustam went over most of it. We also have a Facebook. I'm not sure if you said YouTube, Rustam, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, we're pretty much all over. We tried to cover as many as possible. I think we even have a TikTok. I believe so.
Yeah,
And
just send me all the links. I'll put it in the description below, and everyone can go there, check out the YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, whatever is available.
yeah, well, it's also in the. I believe you posted it. What is it? I think you actually
Oh
have
yeah,
it
in the
in the
Discord.
Discord. Yeah.
So also, you're welcome to post anything for your promotions in that game or in that channel. You can also post all your games in there so people know about them. I wasn't sure if you had more than one or two titles. Obviously, the second title, there's some trouble with it, and
Yeah.
we'll
I don't
definitely
know.
try to get you guys on in the future once all that's handled. I don't know.
Well, I think Rustam might want to talk about that. Did you want to talk about the situation with the other game?
If it's a full-on
Uh,
conversation, we can go into it on another episode. But if you want to just say something quickly, you're more than welcome to.
I don't know, to be honest, how to talk and handle that situation because it is not really nice, and everything started so well, and it turned out not really beautiful at the end.
Okay, then we'll hype it for another episode.
But
Would you guys? I guess let me ask you: would you guys be interested to coming on again, whether it's promoting another game or just talking about gaming in general, or even maybe the certain situation with Star Metal Crusaders?
no, of course, we are good. We're always happy to talk with you, to meet. And actually, I really appreciate your feedback on the game and on this demo. You know, the biggest thing, what I dream of in game development right now, is that we can build a good connection with our community, and we can meet with them and talk with them, discuss the game, and get ideas from them on the improvements. We
Oh
really
yeah,
want that.
definitely. So if anyone's out there, definitely join. Dad discovers the internet. Go into the discussion forums. Go into the on Steam and give your feedback. Help make the game better. Now's your opportunity. It's that I guess that's the other question. Are you guys going Steam early access or just doing a full release when it's ready?
I mean, right now we're just considering going for the full release and then updating the demo as we make the improvements. So we're going to try to use the demo to push the advertisement and so essentially we're going to try to get different influencers to play the demo. That we're still, as we update the game and improve it, we're going to also update the demo.
Now, how do you
And
handle that with limiting what levels they can play, or are you gonna have every level available in the demo? Then,
so the demo it's basically the levels that are already in there, which is level 1. So it's just going to keep all that, and then it'll have some of the features we're going to implement in the full game. So like for instance, the shop, it'll probably just have a few items, whereas the full game will have more items. But for the demo, we'll put in enough to where they can get a better sense of where the game's going, and all that stuff. And then the full game will have more.
okay.
So, but yeah, the demo is going to be it's mainly meant for to is mainly meant for marketing, but also for people who are unsure. They can try it out, before they actually purchase the game.
Now, aren't you worried that someone will play the demo and then just be immediately turned off from purchasing the game?
Well, if that's the case, they would refund the main game anyway. So
Oh yeah, I guess you could say that.
it might actually help with reviews too, because if it's not their kind of game, I imagine that would not really happen that often though, because if they've watched the trailer, if they've looked at the comedy, I would imagine that they would know whether or not it's the kind of game they'd want to get into prior to that. But
Yeah,
I
that makes
suppose you never
sense.
know.
Okay, yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate it, and you guys are welcome again to come on, like I said before. And I'll let you guys choose who wants to end this podcast off. Just tell the folks good night, goodbye, good morning, even, because I know it's the morning there. It's like 3:30 a.m. here.
Yeah,
Adrien, Rustam,
yeah, yeah.
you
So
have
I'm about well, I'm an hour behind you, so it's like 2 a.m. But I had to shift my schedule because everybody's overseas. But yeah, so I mean, I guess what I'd like to say is um everyone is welcome to provide feedback, whether it's negative or positive. We accept all feedback for the game. We're just looking for feedback in general. We want to improve as a company. We want to make great games. We're hoping to, definitely become, bigger as a company and, make a name for ourselves. Like Rustam was saying earlier, we don't really want to be defined by the dad game, but this is just what we decided to do. So, I mean, we plan to do all kinds of games. We just love games in general. This is just something we decided to start with because we thought it would give us a jump start in marketing because of the nature of it, and then just comedy in general is just very popular. Um, and I think I think that's about it on my end. Unless did you want to say something, Russell?
No, no, not really.
okay.
As I said before, we just appreciate any support from the community, the feedback. I mean,
Okay,
that's it.
I
All
definitely.
the best wishes to everyone.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah, happy holidays. That's true. Getting close
oh
to the
yeah.
holidays here. So yeah, why are you games? Developing Dad discovers the internet. Check it out. The demo's out already, and the flagship podcast is tuning out.